Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Today I'd like to speak something about Sri Krishna Caitanya Mahaprabhu. You have all heard the name of Sri Krishna Caitanya Mahaprabhu, isn't it? You have all heard of Caitanya Mahaprabhu? At least everyone who's in contact with ISKCON should know about Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Because ISKCON is a continuation of the Sankirtan movement that was started 500 years ago by Caitanya Mahaprabhu. People know that Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, but it's not Samsthavakacharya. So, but Prabhupada, he didn't start actually it is nothing new. It may seem to be new. Definitely in the Western culture, the Krishna consciousness movement is something new. But this Krishna consciousness, it's not anything new. It's coming from time immemorial. And particularly this Krishna conscious movement as we have it now was started by Caitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago. And ISKCON is a continuation of that which Prabhupada, he spread all over the world. Caitanya Mahaprabhu predicted, Prithivite ache jata nagaradigram savatra pacha hoibe moranam. That my glories will be, or my name will be preached in every town and village all over the world. And practically Prabhupada, he brought that into effect. He did it, you can say. Put it in simple language. So, many people, they think, well, Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a great saint. But they don't accept that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, non-different from Krishna. But of course we in ISKCON, we do so. Now we may think, well, that's just our sectarian bias. Sampradayic, no? But actually, you see, how can we understand who is Bhagavan? Nowadays there are so many people claimed to be Bhagavan. There is one Telugu, not very gentleman who settled near Bangalore, who is widely claimed to be Bhagavan. No, they call him Bhagavan. You know, he has some drinking water projects and things like that. And actually you'll find all over India there are people who are claimed to be Bhagavan. In Gujarat there's one sampradaya which claims that their founder is Bhagavan. And in Bengal there are dozens of them. You know, Bengalis are very artistic people. Kala. So they have strong imaginations. So people may think, well, Caitanya Mahaprabhu is just like that. Another one of those imagined incarnations. Now, how can we understand what are the criteria by which we can recognize Bhagavan? That we'll have to see that there is reference in Shastra, and they should perform some extraordinary activities. Now, this not very gentleman in Bangalore is lauded for his extraordinary activities. No, I said not very gentleman. You can say Tathakatit Sadhu, Alokik. He makes some ashes and things. We have Gadadhar Pandit Prabhu, he just made some ashes also. Of course, he produces them, this Kettehui Sadhu from Bangalore, he just in his hand he's showing. Not very useful ashes. You can use it for brushing your teeth. So, it may be something extraordinary, but it's like magic. You see that? There are many magicians. So, actually, who is God? He should do something actually very extraordinary. Just like we know, Krishna, he held up the Govardhan hill for 7 days on his left hand when he was only supposed to be 7 years old. The sun which had gone down, he made it come up again in the Kurukshetra war. He spoke Bhagavad Gita. There's so many so-called incarnations, they just talk all nonsense. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. And like that, all the incarnations, they show some wonderful activities. Lord Ram made a bridge of floating rocks, and he killed Ravana, who even the demigods couldn't kill. Now it may be said that, well, Ram, he built the bridge of floating rocks, but then Hanuman, he simply jumped. So he must be more than Ram. But we understand that sometimes the Lord, he makes his devotee appear as if even greater than him. Just like Krishna, he is controlling millions of universes, but his mother Yashoda is tying him up. So it appears that Yashoda is greater than Krishna. That is Krishna's kindness to his devotees, that he takes an apparently inferior role. Then we see Vamanadev, just a very small little boy. But with 2 steps, he covered the whole universe. So like this, the Supreme Lord, in his different incarnations, Lord Vishnu, he performs different wonderful activities. And the incarnations are mentioned in Shastra. So we may ask, well, how is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned in Shastra? And what wonderful activities did he perform? So he's mentioned in Shastra, but there is some reason why it's not so clear in Shastra as other incarnations. Channa kalo yadavavat taistri yogata. In Srimad Bhagavatam, in Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, it's mentioned that the Supreme Lord is called Tri-yuga or Tri-yogi because he appears in 3 yugas. But it is stated Channa kalo. He's covered in Kali Yuga. Covered. So it doesn't mean that he doesn't appear in Kali Yuga, but he's not clearly manifest in the way that other avatars are in other ages. But there are in each yuga, that means Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali, in each yuga there is a yuga dharma and a yuga avatar. So the symptoms or the characteristics of the yuga avatar for each yuga are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is mentioned Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Nyagyai Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Hisumedasaha. That persons who are very intelligent in the age of Kali, generally people are less intelligent, but those who are actually intelligent in the age of Kali, they will worship the avatar who performs Sankirtan. So we can see that who has actually started this Sankirtan, who fits the description given in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But then why covered? The point is that in previous incarnations, it was directly understood that the Lord is Vishnu. But in this avatar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't want to think of himself as Krishna directly. Because this is a very, very special avatar in which he's coming in the mood of his own devotee. There's a reason for this. That Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. He is the Rasa Vilasi. He's enjoying Ras Leela with the gopis. This is the highest enjoyment. This is transcendental. This is not to be misunderstood with the disco dancing of them. And only Krishna, he can be the enjoyer of the gopis. So that is the highest transcendental enjoyment. It's actually an exchange of the most precious love between Krishna and the gopis. But then Krishna sometimes he thinks that actually I'm so wonderful, that's a fact, that the gopis, they get more pleasure from being with me than I do from being with them. So this is a very, very high subject matter to understand. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna come in the mood of Srimati Radharani to taste, to understand how nice it is to love Krishna. So in this avatar, he's not in the mood of being the enjoyer or being Bhagavan, but he's in the mood of being a bhakta or the servant. That's why he's called a covered incarnation. So we may say, well, what extraordinary activities did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do? Well, there are various incidents recorded in these biographies. But mostly people think, well, you see, he was a devotee. There are so many devotees. But actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has performed the most wonderful activities. More extraordinary than lifting Govardhan Hill. More extraordinary than making the sun which had gone down come up again. More extraordinary than making stones float in the sea. More extraordinary than the amazing form of Narasimha. More extraordinary than Vamanadev's covering the universe in 2 steps. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his mercy, has made the most fallen, sinful, wretched, miserable, lowest class of people into devotees of Krishna. Papi, tapi, dino, hino, adham. You can use all these words. By his mercy, people who are so far away from Krishna, never even heard his name, they are chanting Hare Krishna. People who are addicted to all kinds of sinful activities. If I told you what I was doing before I came to this Krishna conscious movement, you would do one of two things immediately. Either you would all leave immediately, or you would just throw me out of the window. Actually, you probably wouldn't want to throw me out because you wouldn't want to touch me. Those words are there, asprishya. That term was given in India for the lowest castes. Chamor, Bhangi, like this. Because they're dealing with all the rejected things. Dead bodies and stool and all these kinds. But even the Chamor and Bhangi in India, they are higher class than the Western people. Because if you're born in India, whatever caste it may be, there's some chance to hear about Krishna. And actually we find many people from these so-called low castes, they're actually very devotional. But in the Western countries, before Prabhupada went there, no one knew anything about Krishna. They didn't even hear the name of Krishna, except a few scholars in the universities. But they also had no interest in bhakti, just for the matter of studying, that's all. One time, Srila Prabhupada was sitting with some of his disciples in a press conference. And the journalists asked Prabhupada that, well, you're supposed to be some holy man from India, sadhu from India. Then what miracles are you doing? You should do something, maybe make some fireworks come out of your head or something like that. So Prabhupada pointed to all his disciples. These are my miracles. This is to make any person who's so far away from Krishna so much interested in Krishna. This is millions and millions and millions of times greater than making some useless ashes. So this is the amazing activity of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, which he has executed through Srila Prabhupada. So Caitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to understand Caitanya Mahaprabhu and get his mercy. And then it becomes very easy to understand Krishna. Of course, this Dakshin Kannada, it is an area of Krishna Bhakti. There's so many great scholars and devotees from this area. We find Madhvacharya was such a great scholar, practically no one could understand his writings. They're so complex. And later that was clarified and explained by other acharyas in his sampradaya. That's very complex. That's a very high level of philosophy. Sometimes people ask us, sometimes members of the Madhva Sampradaya ask us, are you studying Nyaya Sudha? Because that is compulsory for the sannyasis in the Madhva Sampradaya. So that is very complex study by which the Advaitavada of Shankaracharya can be defeated. So actually we don't study that. Because one reason is that practically we can't understand it and no one else can understand it either. That was very suitable in previous times when people, they were real pundits and they were very deeply in Shastra. But practically nowadays, if we're going to communicate Krishna Bhakti to others, then we need to make something which is very meaningful to people at the present time. If I was to study Nyaya Sudha and sit and speak this all to you, then I don't know if I would understand it, and you probably wouldn't understand it at all. So we're not in any way criticizing this. We worship the lotus feet of all the great acharyas in Madhva Sampradaya. We worship the lotus feet of all the acharyas in Madhva Sampradaya. But practically, to communicate Krishna Bhakti in the modern age, we have to concentrate on the basics. That is just practical for the modern age. The Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he made the whole process very simple. He instructed people to chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Not that we neglect philosophy, but we concentrate on the basics. Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, Bhaja Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Kaho Krishna Nam, Krishna bina keho kicho na bhave hoan. He instructed everyone, it's so simple, you don't even need it translated. Bhaja Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Kaho Krishna Nam. Then the next line, Krishna bina keho kicho na bhave hoan. That no one should think of anything except Krishna. Only think of Krishna. Jadi amar prati sneha thake sabakar, tobe Krishna beti rikto nagaibeya. He used to tell the people who came to see him that if you feel affection for me, then you should only speak of Krishna. Don't speak of anything else. Ki bhojane, ki shayane, ki ba jagarane, ahar nisha chinta Krishna balahabadane. Whether you are eating or lying down to go to sleep, or if you stay up at night, whatever you do, day or night, think of Krishna and chant His names. So Caitanya Mahaprabhu made it very easy for everyone. Not cheap. Cheap is sasta. There are some terms and conditions also. Not that, okay, chant Hare Krishna and eat meat and drink wine and go to a party. Not like that. We have to lead a pure life. Krishna is so pure that by chanting His holy names we become purified. But then we have to show that purification. Otherwise, you see, if you chant Hare Krishna, then again you eat meat and fish and all these things. Then it's like fire, you're pouring ghee on one side and water on the other side. So you won't get fire, you'll just get a black face, that's all. So some rules and regulations of purity are required. Previously in India, practically everyone used to follow these things anyway. But now they're making propaganda. How Indians should also be mlechas and yavanas. Mlechas and yavanas. Eat eggs. Good for health. Just like the Westerners. In the Western countries they're making propaganda. Don't eat eggs, it's bad for health. In the Western countries so many people are becoming vegetarians because they know eating meat is very bad for health. But Indian people are thinking we should go to the butcher's shop when there's all flies crawling all over and eat that, and that should be good for health. Srila Prabhupada said that Indians are the most foolish people in the world. I didn't say it, but I agree. I can't disagree with my guru. Prabhupada said because they have the highest culture, the best culture, and they're throwing it away. Prabhupada said that 30 years ago, and how much it's gone down, even so much more since then. So I didn't come here to insult you, it just kind of happened. But actually, you see, we have the highest regard for this Indian culture, which the apex of which is chanting Hare Krishna under the guidance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, under the guidance of, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. So we're very sorry to see that people who, they have got this culture and they're just throwing it away. Very, very, very sorry to see. Well, at least you people who have come here, you are not the same as everyone else who's at this time of day either sleeping or watching TV mostly, or taking their dog for a walk. You see, there's no way to say it in Indian languages because there's no concept. In English we say taking a dog for a walk. There's no such thing because in Indian culture you don't take dogs for a walk. But now they've learned to put the dog on the leash and the dog drags them around. So foolish. So our request is, please take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement very seriously. Don't become victimized by this ridiculous imitation of Western culture. The Western culture is already ridiculous. And if you try to imitate that and you can't even do it properly, that's double ridiculous. And the proof of that is that if people in India start to chant Hare Krishna, then Indian people say, why are you chanting Hare Krishna? What's wrong with you? All madmen. If you go in the madhouse and you're a sane person, they'll think that you're mad. If you go in the madhouse, one man will introduce, oh, my name's George Bush. And someone will also say, well, I'm Tony Blair. And then they'll say, who are you? Well, I'm just an ordinary person. We're all heads of state. You get out of here. You talk some nonsense. If you say I'm the head of the United Nations, they'll say, okay, all right. So if you act like a crazy person, they'll think, oh, very nice. If you act as a sane person, they'll reject you. So what should you do? You should become insane? No. Be sane. Be sane. We should understand what is the purpose of life. People are living very sinful lives because they think that the purpose of life is just to enjoy their senses. Therefore, people are suffering so much. So we are requesting you take this chanting of Hare Krishna very seriously. Don't become another victim. This Kali Yuga is very extreme. Extreme, I don't know. But it's either way. It can be extremely good or extremely bad. If you chant Hare Krishna and follow the process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can very easily go to Krishna. Otherwise, if we don't, it's very easy to go to hell. And they're not even content to wait to go to hell, they're making hell right here now. People are suffering so much. Everyone is, we have in this morning's verse, atura chitta. Their mind is full of so many anxieties. Chintam apparimayam cha, is described in Bhagavad Gita. Because people subscribe to the demoniac way of life, therefore they're always full of anxiety. So please take to Krishna consciousness very seriously and try to bring others also. You can invite, please bring someone else. Invite all your friends that I know a very good place you can go. Oh really? What is it? A bar or a beach? Is it some kind of Disneyland project? No, it's a temple. Temple, you mean it's one of those temples where the boys and girls go together? There are some temples where you see they're on the beach or something, so the boys and girls go there. So this is a place where you can become purified. Mostly people have no idea even what does it mean to become purified. Somehow you try and bring people. Or give them Prabhupada's books. Who's reading Prabhupada's books? You're all reading Srila Prabhupada's books. So you're appreciating that, what wonderful transcendental knowledge we're getting about Krishna. Isn't it? So please try to distribute that knowledge to others also. You all please take some books. Even if one book a week, why don't you start with this? You take one book every week and give someone. It means give, you ask them, this is from the temple, so you give a donation. 15 rupees, 20 rupees, whatever it may be. Or you can show them Bhagavad Gita as it is. Tell them, you take this book, this will be very good for you. I was told there are some doctors coming here regularly. Any doctors here? Dr. Sahib. Shahu. So you have a clinic, is it? You have your own hospital. You're working in hospital, I see. If you have your own clinic, then when patients come, you can tell them, you take this book. It's very good for peace of mind like this. Doctors are in a very good position to preach. Because people, when they go to the doctor, they're feeling much anxiety and distress and pain. And they have great faith in the doctor. Once I was on a train, I was riding with a heart surgeon. And he told me that people practically worship me. I didn't tell him that people actually do worship me. He was saying people practically worship me because they think he saved their life. But actually the doctor cannot save your life. He can be an instrument, and if Krishna wants, your life can be saved. But there's no use to your saving your life unless you do something to come closer to Krishna. Otherwise you might as well die now. So you can give life by giving spiritual life, by giving Krishna Bhakti. So please take some books and distribute these books to people. Mostly people are very dull-headed. So their consciousness is in the mode of ignorance and maybe a little bit of passion. But you give them Prabhupada's books, it will help to awaken them up to Krishna Bhakti. If you see, just like us, we're coming from the most fallen background. So if we can come to Krishna Bhakti somehow or other, then certainly the people of this land can be. So you please try. Give people these books of Srila Prabhupada. That is the best welfare activity. So you like that idea? You like to do that? Hands going up here. If you don't have Prabhupada's books yourself, then give yourself some books first of all. Who has Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita at home? Hands up high. I don't have a home, so I'm not putting my hand. Okay, who doesn't have? I see a few. So, please arrange. They should get. You should have Prabhupada's books. You sing, Shanti Raj, you saw? There's one lady here, neither hand up nor down. So I see around here so many weddings going on. So if you're called to a wedding, you can give best gift. Oh, what did you bring? Is it a Mixie or a Casio? Or, it's Bhagavad Gita. Best gift. People may not appreciate, but actually it's the best gift. You can tell people that, you see, if I give you a Mixie or a Casio, that won't even last throughout this one life. But the benefit you'll get from this will last throughout your life and even beyond death. That all these gifts, they are just to help you in your material life, but you cannot be happy in married life unless you have spiritual life, unless you have Krishna Bhakti. Distribute some books. Alright, so we'd like to distribute a few books here. We have some wonderful books by Srila Prabhupada.